Hey guys, this is your host Eric. Today we are going to watch action genre movie called Mine. Spoilers ahead, turn on your subtitle, and enjoy. At the beginning of the movie, a tough US Marine named Mike says goodbye to a young woman at the airport and then takes a helicopter to his next destination. In the next scene, Mike and his spotter Tommy are waiting for their target on a cliff overlooking a desert. Tommy always has a lot to say, even though Mike is more serious. They see a lot of people on foot and a lot of armed cars on one side. On the other hand, Side, a terrorist who is 65 years old, is Mike's target. As Tommy and the voice on the radio try to get Mike to do the hit, he realizes that everyone is at a wedding and that the target might be the groom's father. Things are getting even worse. When the groom and bride get in the way of the target, Mike is told to kill the groom to get to the target, but he just can't do it. Mike tells his command center that he lost his target, which is not true. Then, armed men guarding the ceremony see the two, and shots are fired. The target runs away right away, and Mike and Tommy have to do the same. As armed men start running after them, they get chased. They break their GPS and hide behind some rocks. When the armed men start to walk toward the rock, Mike quickly comes up with a clever way to get them to go the other way. After getting away from the armed men, the two people ask to be rescued, but they are told that they have to cross the desert to get to a village 5 hours away where they will be picked up. They set out on foot and had to deal with sandstorms and hot weather. Tommy tells Mike stories about his son back home, which makes Mike laugh. When Tommy sees that Mike is quiet and seems to be upset about something, he forces Mike to talk. Mike says that it's hard for him to ask his girlfriend Jenny to marry him. While they're driving through the desert, Tommy makes fun of him for being so scared. But he also tells him that marriage can be hard at first, but you get used to it over time. Wind sends a warning sign right over their heads. The sign is taken by Mike. In the last 40 years, 33 million landmines have been put in the desert and buried there. Tommy tells him that it's just a trick that Berbers used to scare off enemies. Mike is still going slowly because he is thinking about the warning sign. Tommy walks backwards a few yards in front of Mike while making jokes about how Mike overthinks things. Then, all of a sudden, a click sound and an explosion are heard. Tommy stepped on a landmine and lost his hearing for a while. Mike takes a step toward Tommy, and where his foot just landed, he hears another click. He just stops moving. Sand from the blast is starting to settle down. Tommy lived through the explosion, but his legs were cut off below the knees. Tommy screams and shakes because he hurts. Mike, unable to move himself, tries hard to calm Tommy down. When it seems like nothing works, Mike brings up Tommy's son, which gives him some drive, and he is able to use the morphine that Marines carry in their front pockets to give himself a shot. Then Tommy tries to get to his radio, but the pain takes over again when he sees his partner hurt. Mike offers to help Tommy by taking his foot off the landmine. Mike thinks that the landmine he stepped on might be old and no longer dangerous. Tommy tells him not to, and Mike pulls out his gun and points it at Tommy's to stop him. He tells Mike that no matter what, he must stay alive, and then he shoots himself. Mike screams in pain but can't do anything. He is all by himself in the desert and can't move. He gets tired of standing up and kneels down. Mike figures out that he needs to get the radio next to Tommy, which is a few yards away. He ties his shoelace to an axe to pull the radio bag toward himself, but he finds out that the battery in the radio is dead and that the spare is on Tommy's body. Mike is sad, but he thinks of something else. He comes up with a makeshift way to use solar power to charge the radio. Mike is then able to get in touch with his bosses. He asks to be taken away right away, but he is told that rescue helicopters can't fly to where he is because there are too many sandstorms. If everything goes well, he will be saved by a convoy in about 52 hours. Mike gets annoyed by the answer. The major then tells Mike to dig a hole and jump in it, which would only hurt a leg and not put Mike's life in danger. Mike decides to tough it out and wait for help. He sets a timer on his watch to show how long he has to go. Then, a huge sandstorm hits again with full force. He stays in one place and waits for it to be over. Once it's over, the first thing he notices is that the storm has brought Tommy's body and the spare battery right next to him. But the radio is too far away for him to reach. Mike runs out of water and gets more and more desperate, to the point where he sometimes thinks about shooting himself. Then, he sees a Berber coming toward him in a zigzag pattern. Mike tries to warn him about the landmine, but the Berber acts like Mike, which seems to be a joke. Mike tries to tell the Berber man what's going on, but he tells him that Mike needs to move on. Then he takes Mike's water flask and runs off into the desert, thirsty and desperate. Mike is drinking his urine when he sees a little Berber girl coming toward him with his water. She gives it to Mike, which makes him happy. It has a lot of water in it. Even though the girl never says a word when she plays with her toy soldiers, it seems like she is also telling Mike to get off the mine and move on. Mike tells her that he can't move and asks the little girl to get him his radio, but the girl doesn't understand. Desperate, Mike makes too much noise, which scares the girl. Soon it will be night, and the temperature will begin to fall. Mike makes a fire so he can stay warm. He starts to hear wild animal sounds. He pulls out his phone to keep himself busy and looks at pictures of his girlfriend. He finds a video his girlfriend sent him. Jenny tells Mike in the video that she is waiting for him. Mike needs to win the war as soon as possible and get back to her. Mike begins to get emotional. He is worried that he won't see his girlfriend again. He was sick of everything that kept going wrong. He starts to fall asleep, but when he wakes up, the fire is no longer going. There are wild animals all around him. He pulls out his gun to scare them away, but it doesn't work. Tommy's dead body is taken away by the animals. One animal starts to move toward him, but Mike shoots it with his flashlight. The animal lands with his gun on a landmine, which explodes and scares away the other animals. In the morning, the same Berber man drops again. He tells Mike that it's a miracle that he's still alive. Even though he stepped on a landmine and spent the night in the desert with wild animals, he still tells Mike to move forward, but Mike doesn't do it. Mike tells him that since he always walks in a pattern, he probably knows where the mines are. The Berber tells Mike that he doesn't know where the mines are and that he only walks in a zigzag pattern because it is safer than walking straight. Mike asks him again to get his. The Berber man finally agrees, so he gives Mike the radio back and goes on his way. Mike looks at his watch and sees that the help is still 24 hours away. He starts to see things slowly. Mike sees Tommy come back to life after he has died. Mike's made-up friend Tommy keeps him going and tells him that he will be okay. The sun goes down again, and Mike starts to think about all the mistakes he has made in his life. He starts to feel bad that he left Jenny alone and went to the mission instead. He is once again surrounded by. Mike starts shooting at them without knowing what he's doing in the dark, but the animals still attack him. As he fights off the wild animals, he gets lost in his thoughts. As soon as the sun comes up, Mike goes back to reality. All of the wild animals that attacked him were dead around him. Even though he was outnumbered, he killed all of the animals. Mike has been standing in that desert by himself with his foot on the mine for 45 minutes without moving. Then, he gets a message from his boss telling him that the rescue team is going to be late. The senior asks him if he can still hold on after 17 hours. Mike tells him that he has reached his limit and can't go any further. He is told by the major that someone wants to talk to him. Mike then hears Jenny's voice. Mike tries to apologize to her as fast as he can for leaving her, messing up everything and breaking everything he touches. He then starts to see Jenny sitting in front of him on a couch and he tries to get to her, but his strength starts to fade. He is about to fall over when Berber grabs him. The man seems to appear out of nowhere and starts taking care of Mike's wounds. He tells Mike about the time he stepped on a mine and lost a leg. He tells Mike that when he lost his leg, he felt like he'd lost everything. But when he met his wife and had a daughter, the pain of losing his leg was gone. He says that no matter what happens, we have to keep going. Mike tells the man that he is lucky because his daughter brought him water and is very pretty and has her father's smile. The man tells Mike he doesn't have a daughter anymore. She died when a mine exploded while she and her father were going to dig out mines and put tin cans in their place. Mike listens dumbfounded. The Berber tells him he's glad his daughter came to meet Mike, but he really needs to move on now. Then he walks away. Mike sees his daughter once more, but she disappears quickly with them. Mike starts to see strange things again. He sees his abusive father, who beat his mother while he stood by and did nothing. He goes to see his mother, who is dying. He also remembers how much fun he had with his girlfriend. At that moment, he hears on the radio that the rescue team is coming up behind him and that they need him to tell them where he is. Before he can use his flare, the terrorists from before start shooting at him from across. When Mike shoots, a nearby mine goes off, which sends the flare flying out of his hands and out of reach. He tries to fight back, but he is too weak. He thinks about his girlfriend, and that gives him the strength to keep going. Mike then shoots his gun at the ground to set off mine explosions around him. The sand smoke from these explosions hides him from the enemy. Then, he grabs his sniper rifle quickly and kills the terrorists as the rescue team passes by. The flare hasn't been put on yet. Mike remembers what the Berber man said about moving on. He puts his trust in God and moves forward. It doesn't happen. There's no big bang. He finds out that the mine he stepped on was actually a tin can that the bee's daughter probably put there when she was still alive. So, the villager's words have been true all along. The villager told him he could go on with his life and see his girlfriend again. He told him he could do it and that the only thing holding him back was. Mike is glad that he is still alive. Even though the gunshots he took during the standoff didn't kill him, he starts crying. Maybe he was happy to know that he would be saved. Or maybe he was mad at himself for not seeing how right the situation was. Then he fires the flare and falls to the ground. He is found by the rescue team, and he goes back home. At the airport on the way home, Jenny has happy tears in her eyes as she waits for him. Even before he hugs her, he gets down on one knee, as he has done many times in his life. Then he asks her to marry him and says he will never leave her alone. We really appreciate you watching. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel with the notification bell because it is really important for us. Thank you.